Hello, welcome, and once again, sorry for the delay. I had to have my wisdom teeth pulled out and couldn't talk very well for quite some time. Well, we're here at episode 5, and by now it's all kinda starting to look the same. The kids run into some sort of obstacle. One of the creatures that has not evolved yet evolves to handle the obstacle, and the kids move on. Once again, our main characters are doing a lot of walking to open this episode, and once again, some of them are less than happy about it. The only thing of note that happens here is eventually Mimi and TK go fuck it and decide they're taking a break. That may not sound important, but the way in which the other kids react is. The thing to understand here is that these are our two youngest main characters. TK is only 8 and Mimi's only 10. Furthermore, Tai and Sora are both quite athletic, which is displayed in their soccer abilities. Joe is older than everyone else. Matt seems to have some athleticism inherent in him. And Izzy... Oh. Well, you know what? He carries around that huge-ass laptop everywhere he goes, so I'm convinced he's a little stronger than he lets on. So anyway, the important part is, in the original Japanese version, the other kids understood that the two youngest kids would get tired faster. In the English version, they just act like dickheads. So while the kids are sitting around, Izzy pulls out his laptop, but it still doesn't work. Which is what he gets for buying a Mac, but I digress. Eventually, Tai notices some smoke and goes to check it out. This leads the kids to a factory where our episode will be taking place. Also, Izzy's laptop starts working even though it indicates the battery is at 0. I like the factory area, and I'll get to why more a little later. For now, let it suffice to say that the kids go inside and see machines doing quite a bit of work, but nobody present to actually run them. So the group gets split up. Some of them just check out what the machines are doing, others run into the only other person inside the factory, and Izzy goes off by himself to investigate some other thing. Anyway, part of the group, I think it's just Tai, Joe, and Sora, run into Andromon, who's stuck in between a couple of gears. There was supposed to be some dialogue here discussing how powerful Andromon was and how much more powerful he was than any of their Digimon, but this gets left out and they just talk about his situation being stuck in the gears. Now, I don't know whether adding specific power levels to a movie or TV show or book is a good thing. It certainly worked in some instances and not worked in others, but to me, that's a bit of dialogue that really could have been left in there. It's useful information, and it lets us know that these partner Digimon do know a little something about this world to help guide our main characters in the right direction. We cut back to Izzy, and now the episode starts to get really stupid. Izzy finds what he thinks is a giant battery and starts attempting to tap into its power source so he can turn on his laptop, which is stupid for multiple reasons. First of all, what happened to the whole thing about his laptop working with no battery a couple minutes ago? Maybe I just missed something when I rewatched this episode, but wasn't the battery a non-issue at that point? I mean, right now I would be looking for a Wi-Fi connection. Also, yes, I know it's a kid's show, but when I say giant battery, I mean like 10 times the size of any of these kids. I mean, look at the size of this thing. Even if you could somehow tap into its power, do you really think that's going to be compatible with your little laptop? I I know it's, again, a kid's show, but it really just bugs me that he's actually trying to do something this dumb, and it really just gives the impression that he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Which is something that really shouldn't be the case, because as near as I can tell, the Izzy character is supposed to be computer capable and fairly intelligent. Originally, Izzy was just wondering if the battery was powering all the machines and wanted to check it out. And what's wrong with that? Oh well. Anyway, the other kids free Andromon from the gears, but he starts attacking them. Maybe if they knew how powerful he was, they wouldn't have messed with him. So, of course, they start running away, which brings us back to the other group of kids that's just checking out what the machines are doing. Anyway, Izzy finds a door in the battery and gets in. He finds a whole bunch of markings and symbols inside and says they are binary annotations of some sort. Which is great. Except that they're not. Not even close. And anyone who knows anything about computers should know that. Izzy is starting to remind me of one of those guys that just throws around a lot of different buzzwords trying to cover up the fact that they don't actually know anything. And I don't think that should be his character, but so far that's really what I'm getting out of this. The other kids are still being pursued by Andromon, and really the only thing I can say about the chase scene is that we get more dumb dialogue. But at this point, really, it's not all that big a deal, so I'm not going to comment on anything specific and just say that, in general, there's a lot of stupid dialogue here. The machines in the factory stop working, and back in the battery, Izzy and Tentomon are supposed to find out that the program on the walls is what's running the machines. I say supposed to because while this is, I guess, implied, I don't think the dub does a great job of expressly pointing that out. Again, it just kind of seems like Izzy doesn't know what he's doing. Anyway, he draws a mark on one of the sections of wall, which causes the machines to start running again. Which implies that he does know what he's doing, I just would have liked to have seen how he arrived at that conclusion. After apparently fixing the battery, Izzy starts using his computer. We get a couple more scenes of some of the other kids in danger thanks to Andromon, and then we cut back to inside the battery so Izzy can get a few minutes of character development. I like Izzy's character a lot. I don't necessarily think this episode did the best job of developing it and showing us why he's a good character, but I guess it's still not abhorrent. So Tentomon talks for a little bit on how he's noticed Izzy is a little bit of a loner, preferring to distance himself and somewhat ignore the other kids. He also talks about his fascination and curiosity with the supposed mystery of the digital world, whereas in Tentomon's mind, there really is no mystery at all. Case in point, Tentomon suspects that the other kids are in danger and is urging Izzy to leave the battery to go help them, but Izzy is largely ignoring him, choosing instead to try and glean information from his computer. We also get a brief preview to a flashback that indicates that there's a reason in Izzy's past why he's so curious about all of this, but we don't really learn anything from it, so I'm not going to comment on it yet. What I will say, for those of you who know what I'm talking about, as I'm sure many of you do, is this is why I find Izzy to be such a good character. Suddenly, for reasons I still don't quite understand, Tentomon starts spasming in pain. I'm just going to guess Izzy poked his nose somewhere where he shouldn't have, and this is some sort of security measure. Izzy disconnects his laptop, remarking bitterly that now he'll never figure out the mystery. He seems more upset about this than the fact that his friend is in some form of pain. Then his Digivice starts doing something, and once again he seems more interested in this than the fact that Tentomon was just in some serious pain a few minutes ago. He's really coming across like a jerk in this episode, I know. And now for the part I like. We find out what the factory does. It builds objects and then pulls them back apart, seemingly on an infinite loop. I like that. It's actually really alien and weird. I mean, how strange is it that we have a factory that's building these devices and then it just pulls them apart? I like that. It really gave the episode even more of an alien atmosphere, that something that strange was going on. All the kids except Izzy meet up, and they're all being attacked by Andromon. Greymon and Garurumon try to fight him, but they're both defeated fairly easily. Then Tentomon starts glowing with energy and begins to digivolve. Izzy comments, "Alright, we cracked the program." What? Seriously, I don't get it. So anyway, Kabuterimon, that's Tentomon's evolved form, shows up to save the day. Izzy notices that Andromon has a black gear on his right leg, and Kabuterimon destroys it. Andromon becomes peaceful again, apologizes for his actions, and sends the kids on their way. The kids go down into the sewers. I hope that was like the only option available to them. Izzy comments that his laptop made Tentomon digivolve, and I'm pretty sure that's false, so we'll throw that out there. And the narrator mentions that Izzy's laptop no longer works, but is going to become a very important tool later on in the series. Oh no, I'm sorry. I mean, that's what he should have said. this gets left out for some reason, which again would have been useful information to keep around. I gotta say, the whole sequence of events inside the battery was just confusing, and even now I don't totally understand what's going on in there, or how Izzy figured out how to manipulate the code on the walls. So, with that in mind, it's hard for me to say too much good about this episode. But the factory environment was a pretty cool place to have an episode, and I guess on the whole, it wasn't horrible. So we'll just leave it at that. It's not a strong episode, but I'm not going to say it was weak. Thank you.